Hi there and welcome to Your Time with DocSquared. Why DocSquared? Well, I have a PhD, my name is Anthony, and Michelle has a PhD, and therefore we just DocSquared. Now, coming into Your Time, we want to talk about the important issue of boundaries. Now, when I say boundaries, did you see her go, because something in her just basically woke up. Why is boundaries so important to you?
You know, so many of us, and I'm now going to generalize as us women, tend to be in situations where people violate who we are. Now, it can be emotional violation, it can be physical violation, it can be sexual violation, it can be quite violated. And so it's so important for us to understand that we can set boundaries. We can, in actual fact, say no.
So what you're saying to me is the most important word in the English dictionary has two letters, N-O, no. In other words, if you are able to use the word no, you can set a boundary, and if you do not use that, you obviously are battling with boundaries.
Absolutely. So when we look at the word boundary, for example, it's as simple as I put a fence around my property because I want to protect what's inside my property from somebody coming from outside and robbing me in my house or whatever it might be. Okay. So the same thing is I need to go and put a fence around my heart. Because the good book says that I am responsible to guard my heart, for that is the wellspring of my life. So if I'm not actually understanding how I tick, what makes me angry, what upsets me, and basically inside my heart, my fence that I put around me, I am responsible to protect my feelings, my attitude, and my belief systems.
Okay, but what I hear through that is that if you say you need to guard your heart, I literally hear you talking about knowing your vessel. You need to understand how you operate, how you function. And I think the problem with most of us are that we have not come to a point in discovering who we really are. And I think that is a challenge that we need to work out.
Absolutely. And what is understanding from a boundaries perspective is that too often we take responsibility for other people. All right, and as we're taking, especially moms with their children, and so therefore, the moment I do that, what happens is I open the gate, and then I give space for my boundaries to be violated or disrespected.
So if you can't be responsible for them, you must be responsible
to them.
Okay, so there we have the full statement. Don't take responsibility for people, but be responsible to them. So that puts the boundary in place.
So therefore, the only thing that I'm responsible for is myself.
Okay.
I'm responsible for the actions that I have, but I'm responsible to, so as a mum, for example, I'm responsible to my children to ensure they go to school, to ensure that they have food, to ensure, all right? But I'm not responsible for them if they leave their books at home and they need them at school.
So what I'm hearing is choice. Choice plays a vital role in terms of that responsibility. Now, maybe that's the difference between responsibility and accountability. I think that we need to teach our children what they are accountable for, because accountable says that they themselves need to take the action, but responsibility could be on behalf of somebody else. Correct.
100%. So let's break down, and you know I love words and I love breaking words down, and for me it's so important. So when we look at accountability, it means that you need to take to account to your ability. So you can't take accountability for things that are beyond what you're able to do.
Wow, now hold on. You spoke about children coming into the mix. What about if we want to go out and we say to the older child, look after your younger sister and we walk out? Is that a good boundary or a bad boundary?
That's a very bad boundary.
Why?
And I call it dirty delegation.
Oh.
All right, you're setting them up for failure.
Why?
Because you haven't taught the elder one your expectation at their age of what that means to look after that child when you leave the room. And so that is why we go into the workplace and we dirty delegate to people, because we haven't learned the art of how to delegate through responsibility. And responsibility means that I need to respond to the ability of.
So there we find now that the difference between accountability and responsibility are critical to understand in terms of applying that boundary or that fence around you. Now, what about if I meet a person that they've got this thick electric fence around them? I'm talking hyperbole, of course, and there's just no way in. I mean, what do we do in that case? How do we help people like that?
The only way you know, and I used to have a very big boundaries to protect myself because I came from a relationship previously where it was an abusive relationship.
Okay.
So therefore, I put a very big boundaries up around me. And the only way that I learned to put the boundary down was to learn who I could trust and how I could trust another individual. So therefore, because I knew who I was and I knew my trigger points, I had to stay away from people that would trigger my trigger points and trigger me to anger. Now,
Okay.
what is important is that let's say, for example, our relationship now is because through kindness and through love, unconditional love of accepting me for who I was, the walls broke down. So that's how you can help a person break down the big walls. Don't go in and say, oh man, please stop being so difficult. Why are you always so difficult? And you've just got big walls up around you. That's not the way you're going to break through. You're going to break through by showing them kindness.
So they are very key. Because remember, we're talking about this gate that is locked and is not open to anybody, but kindness and understanding who you are is the key to unlock the gate that will then welcome you in.
Yeah.
However, I want to help some people understand. If you get to a property where the gate is open, please don't just barge in and go in.
No.
Ring the bell or hoot and get permission
I
to
was
get
just gonna say.
through that entrance.
So, for example, sometimes we go to people and we say to them, oh, you know what, I really don't think that color suits you. As opposed to going and saying, you know what, I've done a course on color management and all the rest of it. Could I add some value to your life?
So you need permission.
And they can say no, and they say, fine, walk away.
And that is their choice because they have learned how to set a healthy boundary. Well, there you have it. A boundary, setting it is a choice. You actually need to find out how well you cope with setting boundaries and whether you are not. Thank you, Dr. Michelle. See you next time.